The girl was gagged with money. The man measured her leg with a ruler, then picked up the saw and cut it down. The girl woke up instantly from the pain, and she struggled desperately. The man put down his cigarette and thought she was making too much noise and interfering with his play. So he strangled the girl alive and the room was calm again. The man's actions were so smooth and fluid that it didn't take more than a cigarette. But what was even more perverted was that he ripped the girl's scalp off and put it on a mold. Then he threw a piece of the body into the incinerator. The girl's ashes were ground into a powder. A small amount of lime powder was added and mixed and poured into the mold. A few moments later a perfect doll face was born. And in the walls of the man's house there are many such porcelain dolls. I guess no one could have imagined that this handsome artist was a psychopathic murderer. Several women mysteriously disappeared in a few years, but the police could not find any clues. Because the disappearance of these girls simply cannot find the body. This day the man was looking for a new target when a little girl came up and stopped him. It turns out that the girl found her classmate with the man yesterday. Now I can't contact my classmates. The man said to the girl, your classmate is now at my house, do you want to go see? Faced with the man's enticement, the naive girl almost fell for it. Then her mother, Una, comes along and breaks the man's plan. Una drove her daughter away in her car. In the back of the car, the man is watching Una's car and has written down her license plate number. On that night, the family was celebrating the girl's birthday happily. After eating the cake, the father came out of the room to smoke a cigarette. When he took out his lighter, he found a line written by his daughter. Daddy, don't smoke. Just as the man was relieved, Una came out from behind him, found her husband who was about to smoke, and shut him out. She went to the bathtub and took a comfortable hot bath. Outside the house at that moment, a man picked up a baseball bat and slowly approached their house. Una was taking a bath in the bathtub when the door handle suddenly came loose. She slowly opens the door, thinking that her husband is playing a joke on her. She went to the kitchen and opened the refrigerator and drank mineral water. A figure appears behind her. Una realizes something is wrong. Turning her head to see a strange man, she fell to the ground in fear. The man approached him and hit her hard with a stick. She looked up and found her husband in a pool of blood. She herself was attacked from behind by the man. In search of pleasure, the perverted man makes Una watch her 14-year-old daughter die in front of him. Daughter screams for mother before dying. But there was nothing Una could do. Her daughter's death was a lifelong pain. Maybe Una didn't deserve to die yet and she was rushed to the hospital in time after the man left. After a series of electric shocks, she was finally brought back from hell. Her husband and daughter died that night. Meanwhile, the doctors found that Una's heart was a perfect match for her daughter's disease. Looking at the half-dead woman in front of him, after a struggle, the doctors decided to euthanize her, to transplant her organs to save her daughter's life. But the unconscious Una suddenly grabbed the doctor's hand, saying she didn't want to die like this. She wanted to live to avenge her husband and daughter's death. For 2 years, Una struggled with pain. Whenever she closed her eyes, she would see the image of her daughter's tragic death. Since it was dark that night, Una could only remember the figure and voice of the killer. The only clue was that the man had taken her husband's lighter after the murder. So Una kept buying the lighter online at a high price, hoping to find a clue to the killer. One day, a message popped up on her computer saying she had the lighter Una was looking for. Her hands were shaking with excitement and she immediately contacted the seller and asked for a face-to-face transaction. As a result, after the other party got the money, he bullied her as a disabled person and not only took away the lighter again, he also beat her up on the ground. Una finally realized that it was impossible for her to avenge her family's death on her own. So, after much thought, she came up with a perfect solution: organ donation. In a crowded street, a woman in a wheelchair rushed towards a passerby with a knife. When she saw the face of the passerby, she would stop the knife. This is the 66th time she has misidentified someone, because her ultimate goal is to find the murderer, to avenge the death of her husband and daughter. The police told her, if this happens again, she will be locked up, and repeatedly emphasized that there were no more clues to the case from 2 years ago. She was told to stop thinking about revenge. But with the image of her daughter's tragic death still fresh in her mind, Una couldn't listen to them. Since the police won't help her, she will investigate on her own. So Una hired 3 people from her doctor, using her body parts as payment. They are a hacker, Hygiene, a private detective Namchiol, and Daeho. All 4 of them need Una's organs to save their families. Una promises to donate her organs to them after helping her find the murderer. Hygiene finds all the surveillance records of the crime scene. The next day, Una and Namchiol came to the neighborhood and a man came up to them. Una looked at the man and sized him up. When they were not quite sure if he was a pervert, he came up to them and stared at the car window. The good thing is that there is a film on the glass. The man did not find them. After the man left, the 2 were in shock. But Una insists on going to his house to take a look. Namchiol helps pick the combination lock and Una enters the room. The house was so big and gloomy that porcelain dolls were all over the walls. A necklace in a corner of the wall caught Una's attention. It was a gift for her daughter. Una was so emotional that tears kept welling up in her eyes. It turned out that the psychopath had another fetish. Every time he kills someone, he leaves a piece of the victim's belongings as a souvenir. Unexpectedly, the perverted man suddenly returned home halfway. But Nam Cheol, pretending to be a salesman, stalled Una and let him escape. On the way home, Una insisted on going back to take the necklace away. Nam Cheol saw that she had difficulty moving and went back for it again. But the man caught her on the cell phone surveillance. He brutally killed Nam Cheol and made a phone call to the police station. Knowing that Una was still alive, she went to Una's house. At this time, Una's best friend was staying at her house. The man leaned down and saw the same necklace and mistook her for Una. When Una came back, her best friend was already dead. Una was grief-stricken as she watched the people around her die one by one. She decides to kill the killer herself. She went to the man's house and smashed all the dolls to the ground. The perverted psychology makes the man love the dolls more than anything else. His blood pressure spikes and he wants Una to die. After seeing the pieces all over the floor, the man is filled with murderous intent. He picks up the knife and walks towards Una, but at that moment Una smiles. Una pulls out a lighter and burns the man's greatest creation to the ground. The man is cornered, his heart is like death, and he decides to cut Una to pieces. But then the burning doll suddenly falls down and stabs the man in the chest. The man eventually dies under his own monstrous and morbid art. The doctor rushes to the scene after the revenge is over. She urgently needs Una's heart. But at the last moment, the doctor still had a soft heart. Instead, Una grabbed the potion and injected it into herself. She wants to keep her promise. At the end of the film, the families of the 4 people are all transplanted with Una's organs. Safe and sound. For Una, her death is a relief now that she has been avenged. Because she can finally go to heaven and reunite with her husband and daughter. And her body will live on Earth in another form. This is the end of the movie. What do you think? Feel free to leave your comments in the comment section.